Let's get straight to the point here. After all, you've already read the title and thumbnail to this video already. We both know what you want and what this video is about. You want to learn how to get a kill streak with the Engineer's worst primary weapon. Why? Well, if I had to guess, it's because you don't want to just get a kill streak, but to get one in such a way that it rubs salt in the wounds of those you kill. But regardless if my hypothesis is correct or not, I'm Ian, and this is my TF2 Killstreak series, where we look at the best and worst TF2 has to offer and show you how to get a kill streak with it, because everything is a bad idea until it works. Today we will be covering the Pomson 6000. So without any further ado, let's get into it. The Pomson is a primary weapon for the Engineer, meaning you're giving up the old reliability of the stock shotgun, the healing potential of the Rescued Ranger, the sheer damage output of the Widowmaker, or the guaranteed crits of the Frontier Justice in order to make use of this weapon in particular. As for its stats, it reads, does not require ammo, projectiles cannot be deflected, on hit medics lose up to 10% Uber, and spies lose up to 20% Uber. And as for its only official negative stat, according to its stat entry, it deals only 20% damage to buildings. Sadly, however, TF2 has a nasty habit of not listing all the stats in-game, leading to an item's description often being very misleading to how they actually function in-game. And the Pomson 6000 is unquestionably the worst offender of this. First and foremost, the not requiring ammo stat is probably the most meaningless thing in the game for Engineer, since he can build dispensers which give him infinite ammo functionally. Combine this with the fact that players drop ammo packs on death, and I will be genuinely impressed if you can somehow run out of ammo on any of your weapons as Engineer, unless you're using one of the weapons that uses metal as ammo. Worse still, not mentioned in the stats, is that this weapon only has 4 shots in a clip, meaning your clip size is actually smaller by a factor of 2, since the stock shotgun has 6 rounds in a clip. Your projectiles not being reflectable by Pyro's air blast or other such means is a nothing stat as well, since all your other alternatives to this weapon are hit scan, meaning they also can't be reflected. More importantly, said projectiles are very slow, only slightly faster than the rockets the soldier shoots from his rocket launcher, with none of the beneficial traits that come with it, like splash damage, or needing to move more than 2 inches to the side to not get hit. In fact, there were only 2 situations where I found myself consistently landing shots with this weapon. The first was in narrow corridors, where enemies have limited options to move around. The second, far more common situation where I found myself consistently landing shots was at point blank, where, let's be honest, it's kinda hard to miss. Reducing a medic's Uber on hit was a stupid stat, since, realistically, all that does is get it banned from competitive leagues out of principle, while being completely useless in casual because no one plays medic in casual. The spy's cloak reduction is the only pro this weapon has that you might get any real value out of, since it can actually be useful in tracking down spies, since they have less time to run away from you successfully. Just bear in mind that the Dead Ringer will still be able to fake death with this, since the cloak reduction takes place after dealing damage, meaning the Dead Ringer will lose its 20% cloak after feigning the spy in question's death. As for dealing less damage to other Engineers' buildings, let's be honest, Engineers are not going to destroy other Engineers' buildings with any consistency unless they were placed in a bad spot that can be sniped across the map with your pistol, in which case someone else on your team has probably already killed it 100 times over. One last thing to consider, this weapon actually has a lower damage per shot and firing speed compared to other primaries the Engineer has, making this the worst primary the Engineer has for securing kills, since the only range where it does better damage than the other shotguns is at long range, where, due to its very slow projectile, you are pretty much never going to hit anyone. With this weapon's stats now covered, let's get into how to get kills with the thing. The biggest problem the Pomson has is its damage, or more accurately, its lack thereof. After all, the maximum ramp-up damage of this weapon is 72. To give you some perspective on that number, hitting someone in the face with your wrench does 65 damage. In my experience, the most reliable way of getting a kill with the Pomson is to actually rely on your other weapons to wear your foes down before finishing them off with the Pomson. This is because if you're seriously going for a kill streak with the Pomson, it's very likely you're trying to salt the wounds of whoever you kill rather than actually be effective. However, if you're going about getting a kill streak in that manner, you need to take especially good consideration about what weapons you're bringing out alongside the Pomson. When it comes to using your wrenches, most of them are useless when it comes to getting a kill with your primary, since your sentry will usually end up just kill-stealing everyone and everything in its radius, making most wrenches completely useless for the purposes of what we're trying to do here. Honorable mention goes to the Eureka effect, which allows you to teleport between your spawn and teleporter exits as you see fit. However, while being able to taunt back to spawn on a whim can help preserve your kill streak by making sure you don't die in otherwise certain death situations, it's nothing compared to the power of the Gunslinger. The Gunslinger is unquestionably the best melee weapon for the Engineer for those of you trying to go for a kill streak with not your sentry. This is because not only does the Gunslinger increase your maximum health pool, making it harder for you to die in general, but the mini sentry is also a useful tool since, while it can do some decent damage, it's nothing to the near instant kill effects of a level 3 sentry, meaning it's possible to finish off people that your sentries wear down before they are killed, which not only feeds our goal of getting a kill streak with Pomson, but also publicly shames whoever you killed in the kill feed. As for your secondaries, the Wrangler is for the most part useless for our objective since manually controlling your sentry, while powerful, is not getting a kill streak with your primary. Because of this, I advise against using a Wrangler entirely when trying to get a kill streak with your primary weapon unless you have a flank route that requires you to go Ninja. Don't get me wrong, the Wrangler is an amazing weapon. However, we're trying to get kills with our primary, not our sentry. Because of this, I simply cannot recommend it in any capacity for what we're trying to do here. The Short Circuit, on the other hand, is a viable option, especially if projectile spam from demos and soldiers is becoming way too much for you to possibly deal with. In fact, if you're playing on payload offense, you should pretty much always have this since you can just spam it down a choke point and just erase all that projectile spam coming your way from the soldiers, demo man, huntsman arrows, and so forth. However, if you find yourself running short on metal constantly from having to rebuild your sentries and dispensers 24/7, I recommend the pistol. It's the perfect tool for when foes are too far away for you to hit with the Pomson with any reliability, or for when you don't have time to reload your primary weapon whatsoever. The problem with the Pomson 6000, however, is that it's optimized for softening your opponents up so that your teammates can kill them. However, with its projectiles moving so slowly, it's painfully easy for players to simply sidestep them, even in narrow corridors. If the Pomson 6000 could shoot through other players and buildings like the Righteous Bison could, and had its clip size extended to match the stock shotgun, it might become viable in pubs, or at the very least, somewhat fun to use in general. However, with Valve operating as they are now, we will probably never see such a change implemented, and if we do, it'll probably be years from now in some Blue Moon-like patch. All in all, I give the Pomson 6000 a challenge mode out of 10. If you want to challenge yourself by getting kills with difficult and poorly designed weapons, this can be a good time. If, however, you're the kind of person who wants to have the most optimal loadout to help out their team, this is a weapon you should avoid at all costs. I personally only keep one in my inventory in the off chance someone ends up discovering a new exploit or glitch in a game that can be fun to use at some point. However, unless that happens or Valve updates the game in some way, I realistically don't see this weapon ever being used by anyone unless they're trying to make a video about it like I did, or if they're a new player who just got it from a random drop and had no idea what it does. That's all for now. Like the video if you did, comment what you want to see me cover in the future down below. I've been Ian, and this has been my TF2 How to Kill Streak Guide to the Pomson 6000, and stay tuned. The flare guns are coming up next.